You're pleased to welcome Diogo from Eli Lilly.
Hello, it's great to see everybody.
Lovely to have you, Diogo. It's been wonderful to have a pharma company, a leadership, digital. It's superb, right? Especially with the back of the big pandemic, right? It's clearly the industry which is in focus. I think the whole audience would benefit, Diogo, if you're able to cover a little bit about the purpose of the firm, the corporate strategy, and how the IT strategy is aligned, and what is your overall plan for the Global Capability Center in India at a very high level, maybe a couple of minutes before I get into the topic.
Wow, okay, that's a lot of questions, but let me start from the beginning. So over 145 years ago, Lilly came into business as a company that was creating medicines, and our purpose is very consistent with the original intent of our founder, which is to create medicines, to unite caring with discovery, to create medicines that help people around the world. And the role of technology feels even more important to that in this next decade than ever before. Some of the things that we are very keen on are, for example, using machine learning to discover new molecules that no human could have ever imagined, or to use technology in our clinical trials to bring clinical trials down from 6 to 7 years and shave off a few more years to get life-saving medicines out to patients even sooner, or to use technology to be able to help deepen connections with patients so that they stay on our medications. Those are the kinds of things where we're using technology. And a big part of our team is based in India. We built up our team from 50 people to 550 people during COVID, all focused on technology, and just an amazing set of technology leaders.
Well, that's lovely to hear. The topic of the day, Diogo, as you know, is leadership blend. It's almost like a coffee blend, right? Leadership blend for the 2020s, tech depth, business acumen, and empathy. And we'll take one at a time. Why would you think a tech depth is so important for a business leader? Without a doubt, Diogo, given your technology background, it's important, and I also have a technology background, it's important for us. But for a business leader today, technology is very important. And why is that?
Well, first of all, I love your coffee blend analogy. I think that's great. I don't think I'm ever going to be able to look at a coffee cup the exact same way again. So thank you for that. I do think that technology leadership is not something that is limited to just technology leaders. And I think it's important for every leader in every role to understand the importance of technology. Gone are the days when a CEO can just say, "Oh, I don't really get technology." I have a person that understands that. I'm just going to write messages and give my assistant dictation. I don't think there's any CEO these days that could get by with that. And that cascades all the way through the organization. I think you'd be hard pressed to find a single role in any company that where technology isn't an important part of making that role better. Now, the important part of having that technology understanding is so that you can see the art of the possible, so that you can challenge yourself. How can you make your own job better through technology, not just keep doing things the way that you've always been doing?
That's phenomenally said, because art of possibility rather than a project, especially the new technologies, right from doing the medicines, and if you're manufacturing, new type of manufacturing and so on. Very well said. What about business acumen for support function leaders like IT? Finance, HR, and what do you do about that in Eli Lilly, and what do you do in India GCC as well?
I'm so glad you asked that, because whenever I get asked by up and coming technology professionals, what's the skill that I really need to learn? They always think that I'm going to say it's machine learning, or it's going to be cloud, it's going to be automation. But that's not the skill that is going to make the difference for your career. The skill that's going to make your difference is the ability to connect with others, and something that I care about a lot about, which is empathy, being able to see something from the side of the other person. Because your technology idea is only going to go so far if you can't influence others to see the magic behind it. And where I see technology leaders fall down is not because their technology solution was imperfect and they could have spent a little more time to make it better. It's because they failed to have the right conversation with the right people that got those people to see why the technology is so important. And that's why if there's one skill, it's not go learn cloud automation or go learn R or whatever it is. It's to learn those skills to connect and to influence others.
Terrific. So that's technology for delivering business benefits, for which you need empathy, you need business acumen. Can you think of some examples whether the IT people in the US or in India have done due to business acumen and innovation, which has really resulted in some benefits to business? You need not be very specific. You can be abstracted and say at the industry level if that is confidential to your firm.
I can think of one example from last year, soon after I came in, which is one thing that we have a lot of is data. We have data all throughout our organization, and we have a lot of things we need to do with data. We're in a highly regulated industry, so we have to check and make sure that our data is in good shape and that everything works. And one of my partners who runs ethics and compliance came by early on and said, "Hey, we could use some help with our data. We need to check a few things and to make sure that we're in compliant. And what we really need are better dashboards." And I think if I had just left it there and I said better dashboards, I would have gone back to the team and maybe would have fired up a project for better dashboards. But this is where the empathy, I think, is important to be able to say, okay, let me understand. Tell me more about the problem that you're trying to solve. And as it turns out, the kinds of problems that you're trying to detect in ethics and compliance are very complicated and really multidimensional. It's not just one. You can design a dashboard to catch it when one variable is out of whack. But what happens if you have multiple variables? They all look like they're okay, but collectively they're out of whack. Well, that is a prime candidate for anomaly detection. Anomaly detection is a huge opportunity, and it's a great thing that us as technology folks can bring to our business partners and just say, hey, I know you wanted a dashboard, but actually what you really want, what it sounds like you really want, is something even more advanced than that, and anomaly detection could be a solution. That is also a great example where we've been leading a bunch of our work out of our team in Bangalore. Some of our best thinkers, some of our best data scientists are sitting right in Bangalore, and they've helped come up with a number of great ideas across Lilly.
This is fantastic, because you don't see a dashboard as a lines of Tableau code or a ClickView code or a Power BI code, but actually it's helping the ethics and compliance to comply with highly regulated industry regulations in pharmaceutical/life sciences industry. That's an excellent example. And you talked to empathy a lot. And I do know theoretically we have two empathy, right? One is cognitive empathy, that I do understand what customers are thinking, employees are thinking and feeling, and what the partners are feeling, like providers that you talked about. And then there's an affective empathy. I feel how they are feeling so that I can address their concerns. And both are required in different contexts, cognitive and affective empathy. The curious question is, are these skills inborn or can they be trained, and what's your experience?
Oh, I can give you a very definitive answer on that. It is, I think it may be inborn for some, but it can be absolutely learned by everyone. I have a 9-year-old daughter. She has more empathy at 9 than I did at 29. And I can tell you that she may be somebody that was born with empathy, and she could recognize, and she knows how people are feeling everywhere she goes. I was very emotionally immature for the majority of my life. My wife might still say I'm still emotionally immature, but I can tell you that in my 30s, I made a very concerted effort to get better at that. And it sounds crazy, but I took an analytical approach to improving my emotional intelligence, an analytical approach to improving my soft skills. And I can tell you that if anybody can do it, if I am living proof that you can take somebody that would actually probably have a negative emotional intelligence score, early on in their life, and learn those skills and actually make a difference. There are so many things that you can do that can improve things. One basic thing that I do is whenever I walk into a room, I visualize every person and what's going to be on their mind. I don't think about the room collectively, but I look at each person. I think, what are they going to be concerned about, and what's going to be on their mind. So maybe I can give you another example of that from our world. A few years ago, we acquired a company, and when we brought the company in, they were doing a lot of different things. And you know what our team said for the integration? They said, "Well, hey, we should convert you all over to the way that we're doing things." Now that was actually not a great demonstration of empathy, and so we've just restarted things now to just say, "Hey, actually, what we should be saying is, tell us what you're doing and what you're really proud of, and we would love to learn from your experience." And that's the way you need to start conversations with any partners. Not how am I going to convert you to my way of thinking, but tell me what you've got, what you have on your mind. And those kinds of things just make a world of difference for how teams work together and the kinds of technology that you can bring to life.
That's terrific. I know I can go on and on with you, but I really want to have some concluding comments on the combination of these three skills, the blend as we talked about at the beginning, especially your advice to the thousands of participants of global capability centers who aspire to become a global leader, want to contribute strategically to the organization. These skills become very important. What's your advice, how they develop them?
You have to make the time you have to focus on them. There are books, there are courses. You have to realize that that it is not you should not dismiss it as something that just people are born with. Yes, there are people like my daughter that were born with it, but everybody else can learn it. This is the key to unlocking your career. That, and what I would also say is you need to be bold with your ideas. As technology leaders, we're not sitting in the basement of the building anymore. We're not the data processing department, the management and information systems department. Those days are long gone. All of my business partners, my CEO, everybody wants to know what are the big game changers that we're going to do with technology. Right now, we have more people that are hands-on, deep technically in Bangalore than we do in our center in Indianapolis. So I look to our team members in Bangalore for the best technology ideas, and I would encourage everyone for all of my India colleagues and everyone across the industry to bring the bold ideas forward, because we need to hear them.
That's terrific. Very appropriately and passionately said. Thank you very much. And I picked up three things through this conversation, Diogo. The first, you said, hey, business need to have a good tech depth, because gone are the days where the business can say, hey, technology, I'll give a requirement and you do the coding and give back. Because the business needs to understand technology to imagine the business of 2025, imagine the business of 2030. Very well articulated. You said the business acumen skills of a developer is very important, right up to the developer, because they don't see it as lines of code, but the ability to drive the drug production from drug discovery from 7 years to 1.5 years, 2 years, which is direct business benefit. And you gave a wonderful examples on ethics and compliance. On the empathy side, you said a beautiful things by saying, hey, part of it is inborn, but you should put in your efforts. It could be analytical skills. And the example that you gave, you walk into the room and exhibit a behavior. And I normally sum it up by saying, well, people always say that, you would like to be treated the way you would like to be treated. You want to treat others the way you would like to be treated, but they say that's wrong. You want to treat the people like the way they like to be treated, right? So that's
exactly
empathy. Yeah. So
that you hit it. That is exactly right.
And beautiful points, and the ideas that you said for the GCC is really great. You got to unlock the potential. You got to be bold with ideas. We are no longer in the trenches waiting for the orders to come from the business. We can actually co-create that business and for the next game-changing ideas. Thank you very much, Diogo. It's an absolute pleasure to have you as part of this program.
Well, I had a great time talking with you, and I just cannot wait to get back to India. I so miss seeing my Indian colleagues and friends, and I really miss the food. So I cannot wait. And we will do a
dal makhani in Bangalore.
Oh, fantastic! Yes, exactly, and biryani in Hyderabad.
We'll do that. Thank you very much.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you, Mohandoss, for chairing that session. And a big thank you to both our speakers, Amna and Diogo, for that wonderful session.